Think of the internet like a digital ocean with many places to see. Think of coastal cities like the sites that we use today. In this case, we're talking about a big one called YouTube. The city of YouTube, where just about anyone you can possibly find is in this particular city. A city of dreams, a city full of people with different motivations and passions. Some are here to become famous, some to become entertainers, or others just to make content on things they're passionate about. Some to talk about their politics, ideas, and philosophies. And others may not give a fuck about any of that and just want to play video games instead. Regardless of where you fall on the spectrum of content creation, we're all residents of this huge city. But what if I told you that in this enormous city, there's a huge city underbelly that few ever mention, and most refuse to journey, for once you enter into the rabbit hole so deep, you'll never be able to come back up. I'm not talking about whatever the mainstream media or certain political groups tend to claim to be the dark underbelly of YouTube. Oh, no. We're not talking about political disagreements and any of that. No, I'm talking about an actual dark underbelly of YouTube. In my series, The Hunt, we're going to see all kinds of different things. I will show you things that are both funny, sad, strange, and just outright dark and disturbing. So if you're one with a weak heart and stomach, then I would advise you stay away from this series at all costs. But if you can handle the dark subject matter that we're going to delve into, then by all means enjoy the show. Oh, and a quick disclaimer just before we start. This show is made with the intent of information and entertainment, and by no means is it a tool for harassment. This show is not made for the intent of harassment, nor do I condone or justify that behavior. I do not advise anyone to contact the individuals that this video series will discuss, and any claims of harassment, bullying, or attacks is not really what the show is about, and thus isn't going to be my problem. Now that's out of the way, let's start the show. Imagine this, if you will. You are a content creator like everyone else, and just like every other person, you were minding your own business, playing video games and reading books, or whatever you do for your hobbies, and out of nowhere, some random twink from Singapore started screaming to the top of his lungs on YouTube about how he believes that he should molest children, and that he believes it's a good thing. Of course, just like everyone else, you got mad about this news and decided to raise up your microphones in opposition to this disgusting proposition. After fighting this freak and destroying him and his entire pedo army in argumentation and winning the fight, crushing them like a space marine crushes a heretic, you sat down and enjoyed yourself and went back to your hobbies and enjoying your victory. However, unbeknown to you, you have awakened something. It swimmed from the deepest, darkest corners of the digital sea of the internet and started screaming in your comment section going, "Gulp gulp, get an education, conservative, age doesn't exist." You just caught the ire of Stetson Hardwick.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No. Look at the top of his head. Look at his lips.
Now, you may be asking, hey Kaz, who the fuck is Stetson Hardwick, and why do I have a sudden urge to find a trout and beat the living shit out of it with an 8-ball and a sock? Well, you see, Stetson Hardwick, or what I usually like to prefer calling him as a nickname, Gopey, the Down syndrome retarded pedofish, he's a pedo apologist, although that's not surprising given what I alluded to earlier within the video. Not just that, but there's also some evidence to definitely imply that he is indeed a pedophile himself, which we will definitely go deeper into as we progress into this video to explain the absolute shitbaggery and insanity that is Stetson Hardwick. The thing about Stetson, though, and what makes him so strange, is that he's not your typical pedophile apologist. Usually, pedophile apologists tend to be people like Charlie Foxtrot, that one chick I made fun of some time ago on my stream, The Time for a Pedo Hunt, where I made fun of the fact that Charlie Foxtrot was sitting there the entire video of hers, sitting around saying about how not all pedophiles are like this, or something like that, or trying to pass off that, well, I don't want to go and molest your child that way, but then she literally goes and say that how she wants to molest your child in that way. See, these pedophiles tend to like to use lots of doublespeak to hide the fact that at the end of the day, they're pedophiles and that they want to molest and harm your children. And every tactic and attempt is just another attempt to further that goal of eventually trying to harm your kids. The good old wolves in sheep clothing analogy pretty much fits the description of your typical pedophile apologist. But what makes Stetson so strange is he doesn't follow that code of logic at all. In fact, he tends to almost completely get away from that and tries to pull something completely fucking retarded and strange in the same process. See, while pedophile apologists argue the idea of children consenting, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous, Stetson doesn't even argue about that at all. In fact, if you did engage with him with arguing about how wrong pedophilia is, Stetson would reply with, age and consent do not exist. I mean, no, I'm legit serious. This guy actually believes things like age and consent do not exist. And what I have for proof is tons of screenshots of his comments when he replies to people that he's angry about, and even clips that we'll definitely show later on in the video of him literally saying this particular piece of fucking insanity.
You're a fucking idiot. This needs to stop. Now.
Jesus Christ. So a lot of Stetson's position boils down to, if he doesn't like it, then it doesn't exist in his mind. Therefore, it doesn't exist in reality. What? What the fuck? Not only that, when he gets particularly pissed off, he tends to say a bunch of shit like how he calls you a terrorist. I mean, we also got the one where he calls you a conservative, but that's something he says all the time. And he tends to call people monsters and all kinds of horrible things in order to sort of discredit their overall opinion about their points being made. I mean, hell, just look at this fucking comment. The truth is not sick, disgusting, or inexcusable. It is a beautiful thing that all of humanity should be blessed with. More like you should be blessed with a bullet in your brain. Stop being a bully and get a life, says the child molester. Morality does not exist. Oh god, here we go. Sexual abuse never existed. Sex is not a form of abuse. Rape never existed. Children never existed. Age never existed. Consent never existed. Human beings have sex. That is the natural and beneficial to humanity. Sex is for everyone, and anyone can have sex. Sex is for humanity. Adults don't exist. The truth is never hard, but you're not teaching the truth. What the fuck?
What? What the fuck?
And see, this is why I want to give Stetson an entirely new classification. I would like to call him a sort of pedo-skeptic, as unlike other pedophiles, he doesn't even argue about certain factors. He's apparently an intelligent fish that needs no science, logic, basic reasoning, or biology and psychology. No, all he needs to do is just say something doesn't exist, and all of a sudden, it doesn't exist. I mean, who needs psychology and biology and other forms of science, laws, and factual information that would suggest that harming a child is wrong? Oh, no, no, no. All of that doesn't exist because Stetson says so. He is the superior 316 IQ individual. He knows how the world really works. In fact, I've heard a story that he would watch all 3 seasons of Rick and Morty back to back every single day. He's really a truly smart, intelligent individual, guys. Trust me. He's the last guy you want to fight in a debate with. Trust me, guys. He knows how to play some swordty chest. he's a dangerous individual. You cannot win in a game of intellectualism with him. The academics respond to him, after all. I hope you're really enjoying these screenshots, as this is just only the tip of the iceberg. The level of insanity that Stetson tends to produce is not even close to be truly examined yet. In fact, there's still a lot to go. So be sure to keep to what Stetson has said in mind. All you have to really know to get a interesting idea of who Stetson really is merely looking at his opinions regarding things like morality and so on and so forth. And when he says it doesn't exist, it already shows you the kind of character that Stetson possesses. Now, it's all well and good that we have an idea who Stetson is. Now, the real question should be, where did he come from? Because after all, no one comes from a vacuum. And knowing Stetson and how much of a disgusting degenerate he is, incapable of shutting up about his fetishes and what he desires, you bet your ass that he's embroiled himself into a lot of conflict and drama. And we're going to examine a timeline of events of a particular shit show that he has involved himself with for well over a year. A particular shit show that I would like to call the Pedofish Wars. A series of spats and skirmishes that Stetson gets involved in while he screams and spurgs like an absolute retard against a group of ranting metalheads who do not approve of a child molester trying to justify child rape, creating one of the most intriguing and long-form fucking spurg wars that I've seen in a long time, centering around an entire community of ranting metalheads versus a retarded Down syndrome Magikarp pedofish. Oh man, you can't make this shit up. And I'm going to have a lot of fun unpacking this particular shit show just for your guys' entertainment. But before we delve into the timeline of events, we have to mention a few names first. There's a lot of people who had a bone to pick with Stetson, and of course actively went against him, and justifiably so. However, there's a few individuals that I would like to mention and give credence to, since they are what I would like to call, in this situation, the big players within the Stetson drama. I mean, after all, we're talking about people who's been around this drama since the very beginning, and have consistently made content against Stetson. So let's go down the list. The four main big players of this Pedo Wars drama fiasco are Thrash Metal Guru, Gage the Ranting Doom Guy, Steve Trowbridge, and Damian Skyfire. Think of these guys like the four horsemen of the pedo apocalypse, just running around and absolutely destroying every pedophile they find within their path. And trust me, a good amount of these guys have a record of going after pedophiles even long before Stetson ever became a thing to them. Hell, Charlie Foxtrot and her cult-like ilk are definitely afraid of them, just as much as they seem deathly afraid of me after that stream I did on them. Regardless, these individuals are fairly experienced with calling out pedophiles in the past, and so the analogy should serve as a good indicator as to how truly fucked Stetson was. But knowing Stetson, he's so retarded he's incapable of realizing what kind of situation he got himself into. And I, just a random fox, will be documenting the absolute smackdown that took place during the Pedofish Wars, or what some may call the Pedofish Chronicles. Now, just to point out, these four aren't the only ones talking about Stetson, obviously. These are just the four major individuals who have made consistent content about Stetson Hardwick, and therefore their videos will be used to help build the timeline, and their names will be constantly mentioned within the comments of each screenshot being showed, as I've already showed you earlier. And the few other individuals that will be mentioned are only there because of a few situations that happened during the Pedofish Wars or Chronicles, oftentimes later on within the timeline, so they're not overtly important as of right now. And as for the videos, obviously, this video series is only going to dedicate to the highlights of the drama relating to Stetson, so not everything from these videos are going to be shown. If you want to see the full context of each individual's content about Stetson, then I'll gladly put the links to all of their videos in the description so you can see the full videos, the full streams yourselves. Maybe even make a public playlist on my channel. Now, without further ado, let's get down to the timeline. Now, in order to get the timeline as correct as possible, I had to ask around with a few of these individuals to know where was the point of origin of all of this drama. Where has this started? Where did this powder keg of fuckery exploded? Luckily for me, Stevie Trowbridge and Gage the Ranting Doom Guy were actually very approachable individuals. They came and helped me out understanding as to where exactly all of this has truly begun. Although I did did record interviews with my OBS with them, apparently OBS that day wasn't working, and any and all audio associated with those interviews somehow just didn't fucking want to work properly. So I do have to apologize. Nonetheless, they did point me to the right direction, and I'm greatly appreciative of that, so they deserve all the credit there. So the beginning of this drama was started at March 13th, 2018, where thrash metal guru, otherwise known for short as Justin, uploaded a video in where he debated Stetson, obviously on the topic of pedophilia. And mind you, this particular debate was the first taste anyone actually had of Stetson's insanity. As well, at the time, no one knew that this gulpy little derp-eyed pedofish was named Stetson. His original account name was Lehman Sook, and he would admit to as such in the video. And the reveal as to how he figured out his real fucking name and identity, let's just say it was pretty hilarious, so let's leave it for that. I don't want to spoil that too soon. Anyway, let's get down to the video.
I'm assuming with the camera, I'm assuming that you're pretty presently on, am I correct? Just so that we're aware, in case if you are listening, this call is recorded. You did request and consent to this. I even do have the information on YouTube, and also to that knowledge, you are aware. Just so we're clear on that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to get down to what's going on here, because I kind of want to really kind of deep into this sort of thing. See, like, what's the issue here? And I get it. I know this is trivial shit that's going on, but I want to kind of understand what the huge problem is, because after all this is just becoming just ordeal bullshit. Do you have a mic or anything? I mean, or headphones?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So, only a few minutes into the video, and Stetson is already just flat out ignoring Justin. While Justin is trying to ask some basic questions to start out with for the debate, and Stetson's like, nah, I'm just gonna play Candy Crush, I'm gonna ignore you, I'm this, I'm that. Which, goes to show to you how passionate and, sincere and, serious Stetson is about his, political belief systems. He's super serial, guys. Trust him, he's super fucking serious. He is super passionate and really cares about the topics he wants to engage in. Also, that icon is a goddamn eyesore. Ugh. Just, why? Why, Stetson? Why did you think that was a good idea? Ugh. That's just nasty. Anyway, let's return to the video, as it just gets only better from here.
I woke up to your stuff this morning. Not that it's a real big deal to me, but it's something I really wanted to go over. I mean, pretty much, my username, Thrash Metal Guru, you pretty much replied to me. Your username is Lee Min Sook, am I correct?
Lee Min Sook.
That is correct. Okay, so let's go over this, because I got a lot of issues with this sort of thing, and it's the same crap that I get from a lot of people. There we go. So let's go over what we just said here, or what you said here, because I'm really lost. Everything that this conservative bigot has said is wrong. Age, rape, consent never existed. Human beings have had the right to have sex, to live their lives the ways they want to. It does not matter what parents say. Stop hating people that are different than you. Lead on one another. I'm not sure this is the exact order. I'm just reading what the top thing says. Pedosexuals have equal rights no matter what conservatives say. Sex is for everyone to enjoy, and nobody has the right to violate human rights of others. Stop lying about not being conservative because you are. Stop being closed-minded and oppressing humanity with your promotion of conservative propaganda and fake news. Leave people alone and learn the truth.
Answers? Who fucking gives a shit? Go kill yourself.
So this is apparently what started the whole shit show, the fish wars, the fucking Stetson Spur Chronicles, whatever you want to call it. And all it took was Justin doing what he usually does when he finds pedophiles. He makes videos on them and basically decimates their points one by one. And Stetson, being the total slut-mouth fish that he is, a total fanboy, someone who worships Amos Yee like a god, was angry and upset that some random ranting metalhead on the internet made a disagreement towards him that defiled and disagreed with his Lord and Savior Amos. So Stetson does what he usually does. He screams like an absolute fucking retard and spams the fuck out of the comment section of any video he has an issue with. I'm not even joking, like 1 second it's one comment, the next second he's spamming you with 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, and he doesn't fucking stop, and it gets worse every time you reply to this little fuck. Oftentimes saying the same fucking shit over and over again about how you're conservative and you're evil and bigoted and closed-minded. Oh my god, you need to respect the pedosexuals. You better respect the pedosexuals. Stetson Hardwick. And honestly, I understand why people like Justin would be upset. After all, their political leanings is centrist and not conservative. Although being conservative isn't inherently bad or evil anyway, just like any other ideology that exists. Stetson just likes to use it as a convenient cudgel to throw away any nuance to any conversation. You can make the best points possible against him, and then he just calls you conservative, then he thinks he wins. He is so fundamentally incapable of self-awareness, he doesn't really realize that a lot of his actions and how he dismisses criticism only makes him look like a fucking child, and not an adult that has any intellectual capabilities of their own. Hell, he's more comparable to a kindergartner who keeps eating fucking paint chips all day. I mean, just look at it. Just look at that. When you see Justin going through his inbox of messages, you see just tons and tons of fucking Stetsons comments all over his goddamn video. It's like a fucking swarm of comment locusts. However, before we continue back to the video, I have to make this fucking point absolutely clear. It's something that always irks me about these pedophile apologists, so if there's any of these pedophile apologists and Stetson himself looking into this video, I got a fucking word to say to you about this whole pedosexuality bullshit. Pedosexuality is bullshit. It's just pedophilia with a different coat of paint that you fuckers like to use in a desperate attempt to make your idea look a lot more palatable than it actually is. No one with a brain cell is going to believe in your bullshit, so how about you stop fucking trying already? Also, here's a question for Stetson over here. How can you believe in things like pedosexuality, right? If you don't believe kids exist, kinda defeats the purpose of your own argument. But I guess I'm just a hateful conservative, right? You disgusting little wall-eyed fucking fish-faced motherfucker. Alright, apologies for that tangent. Let's get back to the video.
Because number one, let me point out the obvious. I don't come off as a conservative, okay? I lean a lot different away from the conservative area. So how you come up with conservative, that is beyond me. But the problem with this is that you're telling me age, rape, and consent never existed, even though pretty much obviously those actions have obviously existed. So where you come off with this is just complete and utter inept bullshit. This is pretty much the same thing that I hear from people with such delusional minds. How did you come up with this?
Based upon the universal truth, the way the universe works. Nowhere else in the universe, in our existence, is anything based upon regulation of age or in regulation of consent. All that is man-made. So nowhere in the universe does it exist. If I went to Mars, it wouldn't matter how old I was. If, it doesn't matter. Age doesn't exist. Nowhere, you go on any other planet, age doesn't matter. Age doesn't exist.
Well, we're on planet Earth, and pretty much by the law that states, and pretty much nowhere in the legal section of any law book within the orders of pretty much the Earth and pretty much the country of America, as far as I'm concerned, that pedophilia is allowed. So nowhere in that legal book is pretty much turned out, and the universal sort of crap. There has been no civilization out on these other planets, to be precisely honest with you. So how we come up with this is complete utter bullshit.
But that becomes the thing. There's no civilization anywhere on other planets but Earth. So the only places that system actually exists is Earth, nowhere else in the universe. So seeing how Earth is a part of the universe, we have our own systematic equation as that exists only on Earth and not in that universe. Therefore, clearly there's a problem. That means that we're not in sync with the rest of the universe.
We're not.
That means that everything that we say doesn't exist.
We're
The
not.
age and stuff doesn't exist because it doesn't exist anywhere in the universe. We're not in sync with the same system that we should be in the universe that we live in.
Hey pal, you just blowing from stupid town?
So this little spastic little retard, this little disgusting Magikarp looking ass reject, honestly thinks in his mind that if intelligent life doesn't exist in the observable galaxy, it somehow means that it justifies him molesting little children at his leisure. That makes no fucking sense. In his mind, if you can't go to Mars and ass clap some Martians, then basically he's okay to do some horrible shit behind the scenes. Illegal shit. Immoral shit. That's bullshit. That's not how reality works, buddy. And this universal law bullshit doesn't fucking exist. It's not a thing. It's not real. It's something Stetson made up because he's such a desperate little piece of shit that he has to try anything he can to justify his sick little fetishes. And even if we can argue about things like universal rights or even what I think might be this bastardization version of natural rights, it does not in any way justify molestation of children. So go fuck yourself, you disgusting little fucking freak. How about you do the world a favor and jump off the fucking cliff in Minecraft?
Normalized and legal in the country, because basically from what I've actually did my research on is that the youngest child ever of a little female kid who was about 11 years old was the one to give birth to a baby. It doesn't matter what the age is, but let's just say if that was the case and it happened to be an 11-year-old kid that ended up giving birth to a baby to some sort of 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, what have you. Imagine how the parents and the other members of that family would feel if someone like that were to happen. Not only does that consider pedophilia wrong right there, that's also statutory rape in that sense, so that also kind of doubles the problem on that end right there. But do you think that the child like that, if they even had a shred in their mind to distinguish the consent of sex, and they end up conceiving a child, do you think that's going to be fucking fair to that kid, even though that kid doesn't even have a distinguished functioning brain to tell what the fucking difference between, you know, adult sex and pedophile sex is? Imagine if they gave birth to a kid like that. That's sickening. That's not something that I would want my children to live in. That's disgusting. That is just no. That's manipulative nature. So I want to see what your views on that part is.
I mean, that's very massive.
Massive. What are we talking massive?
Well, I mean, because there was many questions within the same time length of your point. So, I mean, it would be hard to answer everything generally. I have to answer everything in depth. I don't know what you want me to answer, what question you are asking in general.
I don't know. Maybe if you just put down the tablet for a couple of seconds, maybe a good minute, and you might be able to understand what the hell Justin's trying to say here. Maybe then you could be able to follow along and might make an actual rebuttal worth a damn, but no. You have to spend your time on the tablet ignoring people that don't agree with you. It really shows the ego that you have, Stetson. It really shows that you have a high opinion of yourself for someone who looks like something from the Springfield power plant lake, that you honestly think that your opponents aren't deserve really putting your time listening to and just going, well, I don't understand your question. Can you repeat that? Fuck off. Anyway, I have to sort of push for one more thing to respond to for this debate before moving on to the others. I know there's a lot more to this video still, but the sad reality of the situation is there's simply just too much of this shit, and I can't go and keep laughing at Stetson's stupidity all day, or we'll never be able to get the video done, so let's continue on. There's at least one more point that I have to expose before moving on to the next debate, and it's this.
What I'm going to ask is that pretty much you're basically okay with pedophilia. That's what you're saying. That's pretty much, that's a basic question.
Basic, yes.
So you basically just admitted that.
I am okay with it within the realms of if I was not okay with it or if I was okay with it, it wouldn't matter because that's still life. So all I'm doing is coming at it from a human rights issue, not from I'm part of the group or something like that. I'm not one of them, but from a human rights issue, that's where I'm coming from.
Whoa, 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 Stetson. I thought you said pedophilia didn't exist. What's up with this? Did you just go back at one of your major statements that you believe pedophilia doesn't exist but pedosexuality does? Now you admit pedophilia exists though. Really makes you think. Really activates those almonds. And the fact that he also admitted to being okay with pedophilia, but honestly at this point that's not surprising. I've already showed you plenty of examples of him being a pedo apologist, so that's not surprising in the least bit. But there is something else that might surprise you a little bit. Here we go.
How would it feel if you had someone that was probably about, like, if you had a sister, if you had a niece, or anyone like that, or a friend of yours that was like 11 years old, ended up giving birth to a baby that belonged to a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, or a 40-year-old? How would you feel?
Well, I mean, it really wouldn't matter how I feel because I have no say in the lives of someone else.
But
So it would be more separate issue between me and the other person. So I have no right to judge a person by what they do or what they have sex with or their sexuality, and I have no right to force my opinions on other people. So
Okay, so let's dissect exactly what the fuck's wrong with that particular clip. I mean, for a moment, let's put aside the fact that I highly doubt anyone would be willing to fuck that monstrosity, let alone anyone would ever want to be a kilometer near that particular disgusting mess you call a human being, which I say human being loosely. Let's say that he indeed becomes some kind of father, right? He has a niece, he has a daughter or something, 12 years old, maybe 11, whatever the case is, and out of nowhere some random 30, 40, 50-year-old perhaps comes in and rapes his daughter and forces his daughter to bear a child. He basically said he would be okay with that happening, even if he disagreed with that person doing it. Then to him, it doesn't matter at all in his mind. He would let some disgusting pervert rape his child and bore a child. Come to think about it, wouldn't that make him like a pedocuck of some kind? Really makes you think. But let's be honest, Stetson, there's a reason why you said that, didn't you? It has nothing to do with you disagreeing or not disagreeing with them. It has nothing to do with you being so-called the better person in that regard. No. You would let someone rape your kid, probably because you get your rocks off out of it, don't you? Don't lie, you sick fuck. You know that it would play exactly into what you want. See, the role of an actual parent isn't about letting people do things to their child. That's complete and total bullshit. The role of a parent is to help protect, nurture their child, and perhaps teach them useful skills so that they can survive in the world once they grow up. A normal parent would be against pedophilia of any kind because, simply put, pedophilia can and will cause severe physical and mental harm, oftentimes beyond repair, and that child will suffer a whole lot of different physical and mental disabilities because of it. Simply put, the child is going to be physically and mentally fucked for life if they get victimized by a pedophile, making them reaching success, or hell, even surviving, much harder than it was before. And you're only okay with that because, simply put, you're a sick fuck that wants to find any excuse to enact your disgusting fetishes. Don't fucking lie, Stetson. You're not that hard to figure out. You disgusting, pathetic little man. If there is a God, I hope that he makes sure that you never get the opportunity to be a father. Again, excuse my tangents. Anyway, let's return back to the timeline. Stetson and Thrashamino Guru said their goodbyes and ended the debate. Not too long after it was uploaded on YouTube, however, Stetson began to freak the fuck out as he realized that virtually no one would defend him, and the group of pedophiles, the Charlie Foxtrot cult members, have completely abandoned him or don't want to associate with him because he's so batshit insane that even they're scared to associate with him, which honestly says a lot for a bunch of crazy pedophile cultists. Basically, Stetson is the reject of the rejects, and nobody wants to associate with him for that reason. However, for what it seems to be like almost a week, he continues to spurg all over the comment section of the debate video until he had enough and eventually deleted his Lehman Sook account and disappeared for the next 6 months. During those 6 months, everything went back to normal. No one really cared where Stetson went and nobody really remembered him. Until a certain event happened, of course. At the 22nd of September 2018, a new video by Thrashamino Guru was uploaded, and it turns out it was another debate about pedophilia, a round 2 with Stetson Hardwick. Apparently out of nowhere, all over again, Stetson just appeared and started screaming and raiding the comment section of people that he disagrees with. You know, the usual 4 people we're talking about, and others. So I guess it was no wonder that Justin, or Thrash Metal Guru in this situation, decided, you know what, that it was necessary to go back to fighting Stetson again. This time, the video is at least 47 minutes long, and there's no way in hell I'm going through all of that. So I'm going to definitely strictly highlight only what I deem to be the best parts of that video for you to watch. You can definitely look for the links down below if you want to see the full debate yourself. Oh, and I have to basically point this out to you guys real quick. Unfortunately, Stetson in his infinite wisdom didn't understand that his audio was super low. Therefore, you have to put everything on blast and hear him super closely to understand what he's saying. I'm going to try my best to ensure that the audio is as boost up for Stetson every time he talks, but there's no guarantee if that might work.
When that child, at an age, does not know exactly what that sort of thing is, does not know exactly what the acts of sex is, they shouldn't be going through. That is nowhere near where it's supposed to be, okay? You know, kids at that age, they should be focusing more on sports, school, education, pretty much trying to at least live a childhood life, you know, watching, you know, kid movies, or pretty much just having a kid life, not be exposed to some fucking creep-ass motherfucker who thinks that, oh, well, you know, it's okay for him to pretty much commit sexual acts on a child when a child has no idea what the hell's going on. So again, I'm repulsed and I'm disgusted by what I'm hearing and pretty much what I'm gathering from this. So, say whatever you want to say here.
Okay, well, if for example, okay, well, fake news would be like, in this part, age doesn't exist. So they say that it does exist, but it doesn't. It's fake news. To say something against the truth is fake news, and only conservatives are the ones doing that. So based upon your actions and your character, and your friend's action and character, therefore they match up to the likes of conservatism, which therefore makes you a conservative. That's the only reason why I said that, based on your actions and character. If you act like it, I won't call you that. But if you act like it, I call it out.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
And here we go again. Stetson has pretty much shown that he hasn't learned from his verbal lashings the last time he had a debate with Justin. And just about everything about this debate is literally just Stetson screaming over and over again the same retarded points, while Justin sits there and explains why it's wrong, and obviously so, only for Stetson to sit there and try to spew his bullshit over and over again, calling Justin and everyone who disagrees with Stetson a conservative, and then spurging the fuck out every time he ends up repeating his retarded lines. However, a sort of unexpected event happened during this battle of words. Apparently, Stetson isn't the only one that lives in that house of his. Someone else is there, and she's clearly not happy with what Stetson is talking about.
So the moment that I came...
He's just standing there, menacingly!
does not exist, even though from pretty much the synonym to that of age is time. So you're going to sit there and tell me this. You're going to tell me time doesn't exist, age doesn't exist, even though I have existed and pretty much lived life for 26 years that I have lived. Bullshit. Fake news that you're... Let me finish. Fake news and propaganda, that's another thing that I can just toss out the window here, because you're going to tell me that it's okay for people of that age to do harm to little children.
It appears that Stetson's mother, or at least I assume that's his mother, appears to be watching her hellspawn debate with some random ranting metalhead. And as you can see, she appears to be trying to interfere with the debate, trying to convince her aquatic hellspawn to realize that engaging in this debate is a fruitless effort for him. He's only making himself look worse every fucking second. However, Stetson in his infinite wisdom has decided that not only that he's going to continue the debate, that he's going to argue with his mother right in front of everyone so they can see the spectacle of a spastic retarded fish flapping his fish gums right at his mother. Oh, Jesus Christ. So throughout the rest of the debate, she keeps appearing and watching the debate unfold and looking even more nervous because totally, that's a face of a proud mother right there. It's at this point that Stetson continues to increasingly go from mumbling retarded fish to spastically reeing fish. I mean, just look at this shit.
You're gonna seriously? No, let me.
You're saying the same thing over and over again. You're saying children, child, all of this division.
They're the same concepts.
There is no division within humanity. Humanity is one group within the existence of Earth. That's it. There is no division within humanity. Conservatives are the ones creating the division.
Oh my.
Conservative, you believe the exact same thing that conservatives believe, and you say you're not conservative, but yet your actions and character proves that you're a conservative.
Okay, let me stop you right there because I know there's another person watching. Like, I really don't want to embarrass you any further right now because you're telling me the exact same thing. You're telling me the exact same thing. You're telling me those concepts are the exact same. Age is pretty much, like I said, the synonym to time. So you're just gonna sit there and tell me that time and age are pretty much are not in the same area. So you're gonna tell me that that's the same fucking thing. Oh my gosh, dude. I just seriously don't want to go any further, dude. This is just, oh my god. First, okay, don't even go there. Do not even go there, my friend. You don't know what closed-minded is, sir, because you're just gonna sit. No. Hear me out. No. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Open-minded people listen and learn the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
They bounce ideas off each other. All you've done is say, I'm a liar. I'm a hater.
Go ahead and spew that, man. You're just doing the default setting.
That's close-minded. That's also a bully.
No, my friend. No, my friend. No. Dude, you're not gonna sweep that. No, shut up. Let me say something to you. No, let me say something to you because you want to go ahead and spew that little thing on me. You're gonna tell me that all that other shit is bullying and pretty much having closed-minded. No. Shut the hell up. I am talking right now. I have let you talk. Let me fucking talk to you, buddy. Let me tell you something right here. You're gonna tell me that pedophilia is gonna actually have another existence to be overwhelmed on little children like that. You're gonna tell me that I'm the fucking bully. You're gonna tell me that pedophilia is gonna be the newfound area of people that are actually going to be living with children. That's bullshit. Bull fucking shit, my friend. That is no fucking area. And shut the hell up. I'm fucking talking right now. I have let you talk. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to... I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I listen to you, but too, buddy, and you're going to tell me this. I'm trying to tell you exactly what you've been telling me, but in that regard, you're telling me that I'm bullying you, but you want to label me as a conservative based upon one thing. So talk about closed-mindedness, buddy. I'm pretty much done. Is there anything you want to say before I just end this?
I feel that this debate is very one-sided, and all that has been happening is the fact that you have attacked me.
Hey, you consented to this, so...
I did not expect for this debate to be a witch hunt and a personal attack machine.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Oh, poor little Stetson can't handle the heat, so he's demanding people not to attack him personally. Oh, although he's calling people conservatives in a very derogatory tone, he has a tendency to sit there and accuse people of certain things. Hell, he's even went after people who have admitted that they've been sexually assaulted in their past, suggesting that they're nothing but wusses and should get an education. Conservatives. Stetson, you're the last fucking person to even sit there and play victim, you disgusting little fucking freak. But it gets way worse than here. Just listen to his opinions on what he thinks about the law. It's really eye-opening stuff.
The law that is written.
If the law contradicts free will, therefore the law is therefore obsolete.
Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Yet again, this shows how truly and absolutely delusional Stetson is, and his delusions of grandeur already showing at full display. He believes that personally to him, if laws inconvenience him, then they are obsolete, or they just, quote, don't exist. Really interesting, really gets you thinking, really joggins that fucking noggin, doesn't it? But before we move on, I have to show you at least one last thing he says, and I want you to put this in the back of your mind for later, because it will be important later on.
I have existed for 22 years.
And he is so retarded, he can't even just use the word age. Either way, again, just to mention, keep that in the back of your mind for later. Eventually, Justin got sick and tired of arguing with the spastic Lake Ness monster reject, and said his goodbyes and left. However, the debates were far from over. Just about a full week after the second debate, a third one was uploaded to YouTube on Thrash Metal Guru's channel yet again, except this time it seems that Justin just wants to host, and it's apparently another debate with Stetson Hardwick, except this time the real opponent to Stetson is a man named Damian Skyfire, a man who's been making videos against Stetson Hardwick for quite some time. See, Damian really wants to finally get the ability to oppose Stetson Hardwick in an actual discussion, and of course give him a piece of his mind. As to how the debate actually panned out, well, I think Damian said it best.
Yo, suck, where you at, bitch?
Apparently, despite initially agreeing with the idea of debating Damian Skyfire, Stetson decided he might as well just not partake in this one. Strangely, one of those rare moments of self-awareness when he kind of realized the scope of the situation he put himself into. In short, the whole debate is a dud. They've been waiting for well over an hour to see if Stetson would join the fucking call. Which is interesting because when you look into the video, you can tell that Stetson is directly replying to Justin's messages on Skype, meaning that he's well aware of the debate going on, he just refuses to join. However, something did happen, and it was another waste of time. What do you mean by that, you may ask? Well, here's the clip.
Hell?
What?
I don't know if he's loading or if he's actually in here. Holy crap. Okay.
Oh, Lord Jesus, it's a miracle.
Okay, hold on one sec. So, let me make this completely clear. I don't want to be here, but here's the thing about this, Suk. I know we've actually had arguments and shit like that. Here's the thing. I'm not going to talk during this. This is something between you and Damian, but here's the thing that I will absolutely promise you. I will be absolutely fair in this, that if anyone talks over each other, I will go ahead and, pretty much moderate this. Now, before I continue with this, because this isn't between you and me anymore, so this is between you and him, because I don't want to be here with this, but me and Damian, pretty much, we've been hanging out, but I owe him this. Do you consent to this call being recorded this time, or that's up to you, because I don't want to continue on with this, but I owe him a favor, and I want to make sure. Are you okay with this?
Is your mic working?
But that's all ancient history now. I've got a whole new life.
Oi!
That's what's great about America, is that we can always start over. So that make us an igneous rock or a sedimentary rock.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing I had to deal with. Sort of.
Wow, I'm in a 70s police drama and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. So, Suk, can you hear us by any chance? I just want to make sure about this. Because I'm not taking part of this. This is something that I promised him, and I want to make sure though, because I don't know exactly how this is gonna work out. But can you hear me?
Check him out. Fuck's sake. I'm not pissing around.
Because
Well, dude, I've already been getting dicked around for an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm not in the mood to put up with this bullshit for another fucking 70 minutes.
Alright, I mean, you heard him, Suk, man. Last call, man. Can you hear us or not?
Pedophilia doesn't exist, and apparently neither do his ears.
Either that, or he doesn't, or he's probably got the sound actually off on the computer. It's probably one of those. But yet I can hear him though, so that's the other thing.
Yeah. Fuck it. See you, Sook. You had your chance.
Yep. That's basically what we were waiting around for.
Yep.
Of course. That's an interesting way of wasting someone's time, that's for sure. And of course, not long after the video's been uploaded to YouTube, Stetson started bitching and moaning and complaining in the comments section, only for him to eventually, after much of him getting completely destroyed by a multitude of different people, just absolutely calling him out for the coward he is, decided to delete his YouTube account, Lehman Sook, yet again. This is the last time we'll ever see the Lehman Sook account existing anymore. However, that doesn't mean that Stetson stopped his shenanigans, far from it. He made a new account and started uploading content on it called Armin Linkaya. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but honestly I couldn't really give a fuck. And that particular channel started uploading content, mostly in relation to assassinating the characters of people that he doesn't agree with, calling them terrorists, monsters, blind conservatives, so on and so forth, and every derogatory slur he can imagine off of his rather limited brain cells, as after all, he is a gulpy pedofish, by the way. Using sites like Biteable.com, which, if you're not exactly entirely aware, it's one of those really shitty free template sites that companies like to use, and people like to use to sort of advertise products and shit, so they don't have to really pay a dime for an actual editor, or anyone who can easily make something far better than what Biteable.com's offering. And another thing to notice is that just pay attention to each ending of these videos, not to mention some of the titles. The first time we have an actual glimpse of his real name, Stetson Hardwick for president, really makes the jog and noggin, doesn't it? So I started looking deeper into his channel, and on the third video he's ever uploaded on this channel, this is the video that comes up.
Hello, my name is Stetson Hardwick, and I will be perfect for the role of therapist because I know what they do, how they operate, their job description, and I have a lot of personal experience with therapists.
Yeah, and they probably should have never let you out of a mental institution. What they should have done was thrown you straight back into a padded room with several layers of straitjackets, just as a safety precaution, and throw away the key. What I find hilarious about this is the fact that Stetson decided to make these videos where he started trying to make lies and slanderous and libelistic claims about people he doesn't agree with, while he sits there and talks about how he justifies pedophilia. However, in his infinite wisdom, he actually ended up exposing his real name for people to look up and research on him to find out who he is, where he's from, where he possibly is at, and other abouts of details. Here's a clip of Damian and his own research into Stetson Hardwick.
Stetson is a 28-year-old man. 28 years old? Yes, 28 years old, and I have proof of this online. But bear in mind, he said something different in his second debate with Justin. He said he was 22. Note that location. Note that town. That is the same town as the person that Justin, who had the debate with, was from. His sign-in on Skype says he's from Trenton, New Jersey, and the Philippines. You look for Stetson Hardwick, and this picture pops up. Same wall-eyed, derpy-looking, retarded fish.
Well, there you have it. It seems that Stetson Hardwick lied to Justin about his actual age. Stetson isn't 22, he's actually 28 years old, and lives in Trenton, New Jersey and the Philippines. Given that this video Damian put out there was released about a year ago at this point, it would be safe to assume that Stetson is actually 29 years old at this point. Now you may be asking, Kaz, what exactly is the relevance of this information? Well, as stated before, Stetson desperately wants to become president of the United States at 2020, even though the minimum age requirement to become a candidate for the presidency is 35 years old. Not to mention that you have to have a huge amount of capital and influence to even be considered a potential candidate for the presidency. In terms of capital, Stetson has a GoFundMe page with the stated goal of over $200,000, yet it doesn't make any money and it should obviously stay that way. What about influence? What about followers, perhaps? Well, from what I can tell, the same community of pedophiles that I've been making fun of for the last week or so, or technically 2 months, are very well aware of Stetson's existence and want absolutely nothing to do with him. Why? Because he's so insane that even they're afraid to have him on their boat. Literally, just sit there for a couple of seconds and just let that sink in. However, there's another thing that needs to be kind of addressed. This idea that Stetson wants Amos Yee to be his running mate for president. The answer is, I don't really have a fucking clue. For all I know, Stetson and Amos could either be talking to each other in secret or never at any point actually had an actual conversation with each other. So as far as I'm concerned, I have no idea if he actually is talking to Amos, if Amos actually somehow agreed to this bullshit presidential campaign. The most likely theory in my head would be that Stetson, being the huge fanboy he is for Amos, more than likely made this bullshit campaign to make it seem like that he is top shit. And it probably might be a desperate ploy for him to say to other pedophiles that he is top shit because, well, he has their god supporting them, you know, because they love to treat him like a god after all. And speaking of Stetson's obsession with Amos Yee, I'm going to show you a clip of a video where Stetson sits there and goes, "Oh my god, here's all the reasons I love Amos Yee, you should vote for him for president." Jesus, Stetson, that's a little racist. That's a little racist, don't you think? And speaking of Amos Yee's debating abilities, I mean, he did barge into my stream some time ago and absolutely got his ass reamed in the process and left like a little bitch afterwards. So honestly, it doesn't really seem to be as tough as a lot of these pedophiles, including Stetson, seems to think.
And that is a far more reliable way to determine studies.
Here's the problem. You're using preteen sexual intercourse. That could be also done with another preteen. That's not with adults. It is very different.
Adults. Yeah, that's the thing. They analyze the sexual relationship with
I have to see the study because one, I have to see who did it, and two, if it's actually true. The problem is I don't agree with that study because nobody would answer honestly to that study. That's why I have a therapy session, because they actually have the answer, the reasoning to the problem. That's why therapy sessions are so important and not biased, because therapists are not supposed to be biased.
You just, I don't believe it.
No, I don't take random strangers' advice. I take
Tom. Welcome to the shit show. How you doing tonight, Tom?
Yo, how the fuck did you find a pedophile that was willing to come the fuck on the goddamn show?
It was the...
We used a small
They're not sending their best.
Yeah, Amos is not exactly what you would call a intellectual heavyweight. Regardless, let's get back to the main subject matter of the video. I got curious about Stetson, and I thought, if Stetson was stupid enough to put his own actual real name on his YouTube channel, the same one that he uses to attack people and talk about his rather weird and interesting politics, which we'll definitely get into that in a bit. I started looking up his name on YouTube, and surely enough, I found his YouTube channel, and his username is using his real name, Stetson Hardwick. A channel with only 2 videos and 5 subscribers, probably from his sock puppet accounts. And another interesting detail is that these videos were uploaded 9 years ago, which in a way sort of adds more evidence to the idea that he is indeed around 28 or 29 years old, given how much he looks very much the same here as he does now. But there's another thing that needs to be noticed as well, and that is the videos that he likes, and of course his playlists, 4 of them in total. So why not we take a gander, a look, a sort of journey, as you will, into Stetson's interests. Immediately upon looking in his playlists, you end up seeing a very prevalent theme of the videos that remain in his playlists, although most of them have either been deleted or privated, and only God would know at this point exactly what those videos contained. However, the videos that do remain and are still watchable are very concerning, because these videos tend to feature things like little boys and girls all of a sudden twerking in certain poses, and of course abundance of little boys that are shirtless for whatever fucking reason. But we also got some really interesting pics, some masterpieces of video content making. For example, videos like British boy winks in dustbin, or Jason masturbating, and other videos like boy caught masturbating while on computer, 12-year-old flexing, jerking off, and boy gets annihilated while jerking off. Clearly a intellectual. Oh, and before I forget, he really likes trains.
AutismSpeaks.org.
Something I noticed while looking through this is that he prefers little boys. Although in some videos it does feature girls twerking and dancing, but particularly he likes little boys. Interesting. Really makes you think. In a strange way, you can argue that Stetson would greatly apply well for a Catholic preacher.
What does it mean that the Lord gave us his only begotten son?
It means if you're a cute boy at a Catholic priest swimming party, you better be getting.
So let's break down the information that we've gotten from this discovery. More proof to suggest that he is at his late 20s, just beginning to start his 30s. And that given from what we can see from his interests in his playlists to his liked videos, he is not just a pedo supporter, he is also a pedophile himself. This shouldn't be surprising to anyone who's examined and criticized pedo apologists in the past. 9 times out of 10 they do turn out to be pedophiles themselves. Regardless, you may be asking, well, Kaz, why is this relevant or important? It should have already been obvious, right? The reason I'm pointing this out is simply because originally when Justin, or Thrash Metal Guru, had that debate with Stetson Hardwick, Stetson was trying to frame as if he was separated from these pedophiles and that he was merely fighting for their interests as a group. But you end up realizing that he's actually fighting for his own interests. He wants the ability to touch children freely without the law rightfully punishing him for doing something as heinous as that. It's when you start to realize a particular tactic of his. Whenever he feels upset or he can't really argue around people, he starts to scream and cry and suggest that you're attacking an entire community because you criticized him. Whenever he feels threatened, he says things like you're an enemy to the LGBTP+ community simply because you disagreed with him. It's a typical collectivist tactic that a lot of different political groups like to use in order to negate individual criticism on individuals' failures. A sort of us versus them particular kind of tactic. So not only is he a particular kind of coward when it comes to debating people, he's also just a coward in general who can't address his own failures when people criticize him for his own failures, so he tries to throw in different groups in a desperate attempt to defend himself from criticism. Truly, he's a spinning example of a coward. Now, you may be asking, well, Kaz, what about those 2 videos? What's in them? And the answer is, here's a video of him talking about starting a new foundation. Have a look.
From South Korea.
Hello. Welcome to the new opening of the Elements and Peace Foundation. The Elements and Peace Foundation is planned to open its doors today at exactly 8 o'clock this morning. The Elements and Peace Foundation is here to help you with your every need. If you need advice, we are here. If you need information about anything in the world, we're here to help. You have a problem, relationship, government, whatever, along those lines, we're here to help. Any problem, we're here to help. That's what we do. Now, financially speaking, there is an exchange rate, and you pay back the money that we loan you, if that's the case, and if we decide to loan you the money.
Well, Philip DeFranco, eat your heart out. Seems like Stetson Hardwick made BetterHelp well before BetterHelp ever existed. What the fuck? I have tried to look up this company's name, but I haven't really found any real details. Just information that suggests that Stetson is the founder of this organization, which doesn't seem to exist, doesn't have a logo or anything attached to it, so let's just chalk it up to probably some weird playful fantasies of his own, given how insane Stetson generally is. What about the second video, you may ask? Well, let's look at the clip.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the European Union National Anthem.
there you have it. Apparently the second video is just him bloviating for 7 minutes about how he loves the European Union and thinks it's better than America in every conceivable way, while having these long strange stares just out to the wind, not even really focusing on what he's even trying to talk about. Truly a man of culture. Speaking of Stetson's politics, why not we return to Ling Ming Kaya, his channel where he originally posted his political content on, and examine his political views, his plans for certain policies he wants to implement if he ever becomes president, although that's highly unlikely, and how he tends to fare towards criticism hitting his way, generally from his opponents. In short, it's fucking cancer. Let's start with his about page and description. He likes to describe himself as a Democrat, and he's an advocate of socialism, and of course, last but not least in this particular case, he's a huge advocate of gun control. So looking at all this, it seems to give me the impression that he is definitely a ultra hardcore Democrat, and much of his politics will obviously reflect that particular political worldview. However, that's not even close to the end of what he advocates for his policies, by the way. No. Sure, he does argue some rather typical Democrat positions and policies, but that isn't the only thing he advocates for as policies that he wants to implement. In fact, some of these policies he's going to talk about and we're going to showcase here strange up bizarre and make no sense regardless of what political party you yourself subscribe to. In a video where he uploaded called Stand Up for What Is Right, he starts describing some of his policies. It starts off with his belief systems on universal free medical shit, which is really tame in comparison to some of his more later policies. Although I have to say, Stetson, I have to ask this question because I know for a fact you're going to see this video. How the fuck do you expect people to pay for all this shit without raising the tax level off sky fucking high? And speaking of taxes and economic stuff, why not we look at some of his economic policies in the same video? Now, you would have a few questions, right? How would he tackle things like government spending, taxes, immigration, and the availability of jobs? Well, you're in luck because he doesn't answer any of those fucking things. In fact, for the most part, his entire position boils down to all of these economic issues. Nah, fam, just go and upgrade those coastal ports, those trains, those buses. Yeah, that's all we need, fam. Life is like a Total War video game, don't you know? You just upgrade a bunch of stuff and make a whole bunch of cash. Watch that money flow. Again, truly a intellectual. Oh, and that doesn't stop there. He wants to get rid of ICE and Homeland Security. Again, truly a intellectual. After all, guys, the academics respond to him. However, this isn't the dumbest policy he advocates for. In a video called Support Stetson Hardwick for President 2020, it's another video where he spends all of his time talking about some of his policies that he wishes to implement when he becomes president. No shocker. However, there's this one particular policy that I thought was the most dumbest shit anyone can ever advocate for. And that policy is, I will free political prisoners, which includes those who are locked up for their sexuality and fighting for human rights. Now, I've already mentioned this earlier in the video, but this guy believes that pedophilia in his mind is a sexuality. So let that sink in. If he becomes president somehow, he will release every single pedophile, rapist, or in any form of other molesters out of prison so they can do whatever they want to whoever else they want all over again. I mean, just imagine what that would be like.
It was like Battle Royale, but with rape.
And of course, like anything else, it wasn't long until people realized just how insane Stetson is, and criticized his videos, especially those where he happens to libel people for not agreeing with him. So you may be thinking, what did Stetson do as a result then? Well, he decided he's going to libel and talk shit all over again, uploading a video called Where's the Love? So let's watch the clip, shall we? Okay, there is so much wrong with this. The thing is, Stetson, is that Steven and Doom Guy, as far as I've interacted with them, don't really hate any particular group. They most certainly don't hate the LGBT at all. What they do hate is pedophiles like yourself who want to desperately attach themselves to a community just so you can use a movement to shut people up who call you out for your disgusting fetishes. Again, this is something noticed when you look at Stetson. How a lot of his critiques tend to be nothing more than, well, if you disagree with me, you're conservative. If you disagree with me, you're a bigot. If you disagree with me, you're this or that. This is something that should have already been taught to you at your first grade. That making accusations, especially without evidence, is a good way of getting people to really fucking hate you and know when to trust you because they will see you as a dirty little smear merchant. Although, let's be honest, people aren't going to like you anyway. And why is that? You may be asking, since I know that you're going to watch this video with your fish eyes. Well, here's the thing. No one respects rapists, and no one worth a damn respects pedophiles. And since you decided to go out of your way to argue for both of these things, no one is going to, and they're not obligated to be nice to you. Why would they? Since you legitimately argue and advocate for something as horrendous as child rape. Not only that, when people disagree with you on anything, you outright attack them, try to smear their name, go with personal attacks, and even later on, in this series of videos that I'm going to talk about you, there's already evidence out there of you stalking people you don't agree with, and you constantly harass them every chance you got. You are a disgusting, potbelly, derpy-ass, fucking Down syndrome-looking magic car perverted little shit. No one is obligated to be nice to you, so fuck off with that shit. Oh, and another side note. If you're going to make claims about how someone else's actions or words have caused another human being to commit suicide, then you better well damn be sure to add evidence to that, or people will legally come after you for libel, and they have every right to do so. Point is, Stetson, you're a moron. A derpy, disgusting, walleye looking fish moron. And the thing is, despite what you think, no, it's not just the conservatives are after you. It's also plenty of left-wingers, libertarians, centrists, and so on and so forth. The point is, no one worth their salt wants someone like you in their political parties. And they never will. You will never become president, Stetson. Just give it up. Swim back to your fish tank and cry yourself as you fuck yourself, because that's the only thing you're ever going to get. Or turn yourself into the nearest mental institution so they can throw you in a padded room and throw away the key, so that no one has to see a spastic, disgusting fish talking about or advocating for pedophilia ever again. Well, that's it for part 1. Consider this a kind of introduction to Stetson's insanity, as there's a shit ton of material and too much for one video, and part 2 will be a particularly interesting shit show for sure. In part 2, we're going to discuss about the 4th debate, a total shit show that Stetson actually took part of and didn't ditch like he did the 3rd debate. And we are going to discuss a book he wrote. Yes, he actually made a book, and it's absolutely trash. However, Steven Tobridge made a series of videos reading out his book chapter by chapter, and it's absolutely hilarious to watch, as well as disturbing, but we'll get to those details in part 2. Regardless, there's plenty of crazy shit in part 2 for everyone to see. I hope to see you guys there. Have a good night, and don't let the pedo fish bite.